Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I call this meeting of the Commission to order on October 10, 2024 at 10:04 a.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps,
Present.
Commissioner Peretick.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting of the Michigan Public Service Commission is being held in person at the Bessie Center Auditorium on the campus of Bay College, 2001 North Lincoln Road in Escanaba, Michigan, and we're excited to be here. I would also note for the record that Commissioner Carrion has the best reason for an excused absence for today's meeting, as she is currently on parental leave. We're very excited for her and her growing family and look forward to having her back in due course. We are hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Teams in addition to being here in Escanaba, and telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via Microsoft Teams, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the More button at the top right of your Teams window, then clicking on Language and Speech from the drop-down menu, and finally clicking on Turn on Live Captions. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comments via LARA, L-A-R-A, MPSC-commissioners2@michigan.gov. And for reference, this email is also included in today's meeting notice. We will have an agenda, as always, for the public to make comments as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and 1 per person. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or remotely through Microsoft Teams or by calling into the meeting by phone. For individuals attending in person and who want to make a verbal comment, please fill out a comment card. Comment cards are available just outside the auditorium, and you can bring those to the front as you complete them. For individuals participating remotely by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the Raise Hand button at any time to be queued up for comment. For individuals participating remotely by phone and who want to make a verbal comment, you may press *5 at any time to be queued up for comment. Public commenters on both Microsoft Teams and on the phone are added to the same speaker queue and will be called upon in the order they enter the speaker queue. Please do not lower your hand or press *5 again, or you will be removed from the queue and lose your place in line. And finally, to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by Microsoft Teams or by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
I move for the approval of the agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 26, 2024 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the September 26, 2024 Commission meeting.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the September 26, 2024 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of September 26, 2024 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. And today the Commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Charlie Kavanaugh. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you and good morning. Today's consent agenda consists of 2 communications matters, 3 electric matters, and 3 gas matters. The proposed orders and minute action for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the orders and minute action on the consent agenda.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute action on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The orders and minute action on the consent agenda are approved. I again recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A1 is case number U-21189, which involves an application requesting ex parte approval of the amended Elk Park County Solar Power Purchase Agreement, the Hoosier Line Solar Power Purchase Agreement, the Meadow Lake Wind Power Purchase Agreement, and the Lawrenceburg Capacity Only Purchase Agreement, and other related relief. The order before you approves the company's application for approval of the projects as described in the order, authorizes Indiana Michigan Power Company to establish a regulatory asset, and grants the company authority to recover the development costs for the projects through its power supply cost recovery clause and factors over a period of 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21189.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21189 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A2 is case number U-21427, which involves an application filed by Indiana Michigan Power Company requesting approval to implement a power supply cost recovery plan for the 12 months ending December 31, 2024. The order before you approves the application and power supply cost recovery factor, as described in the order, accepts the company's 5-year forecast, and issues a warning under MCL 460.6J, subsection 7, that Indiana Michigan Power Company may not be authorized to recover its full costs incurred under the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation's intercompany power agreement.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21427.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21427 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A3 is case number U-21456, which involves a complaint filed by Bonnie Rex against Consumers Energy Company. The order before you dismisses the complaint with prejudice.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21456.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21456 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A4 is case number U-21461, which involves an application filed by Indiana Michigan Power Company for ex parte review and approval of its amended residential service critical peak pricing tariff and general service critical peak pricing tariff. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21461.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21461 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A5 is case number U-21541, which involves an application filed by Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation for authority to increase electric rates and other relief. Staff member Elena Braunschweig will describe this order.
Good morning, Commissioners. On May 1st, 2024, Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation, abbreviated to UMERC, filed an application with the Commission to increase its electric rates and for related relief. The rate increase sought in this proceeding is based on the company's projections for investment, expenses, and revenue for a 12-month period ending December 31st, 2025. UMERC's original application requested an $11,162,357 base rate increase for customers other than the Tilden mine. The company requested a return on common equity of 10.25% with an overall rate of return of 6.56% and a 50% common equity ratio. The company explained in its application that additional revenues are necessary to continue to provide safe and reliable electric service to meet service quality and reliability expectations. This is UMERC's first electric rate case since the creation of UMERC was approved by the Commission in its December 9, 2016 order in case number U-18061, which unified the two utilities, Wisconsin Electric Power Company, WEPCO, and Wisconsin Public Service Corporation, WPSC, under UMERC while retaining their separate service territories rates. Intervention was granted to Commission staff the Attorney General, Citizens Utility Board of Michigan, and Billerud Americas Corporation. On September 24th, 2024, the parties filed a settlement agreement resolving all issues in the case. The settlement agreement provides guidance in a number of areas, a few highlighted here. 1. UMERC shall be authorized to implement a rate realignment plan to gradually unify its WEPCO and WPSC rate zones by implementing rate realignment adjustment, RRA, surcharges in the manner set forth in Attachment C. The RRA surcharges will go into effect on January 1st, 2025, and be updated annually on January 1st of each year thereafter. The RRA allows for a gradual implementation of cost-based rates to be evenly assessed according to the actual cost of service by class as required under MCL 460.11, subsection 1. 2. UMERC agrees to implement a residential income allowance and senior bill assistance program as reflected in the tariff sheets in Attachment B. 3. UMERC agrees to conduct a line loss study of the company's entire service territory to inform future requests for a line loss factor before filing another electric rate case. 4. UMERC agrees to work with staff to develop and file a distribution, investment, and maintenance plan. This plan shall be filed in case number U-20147 by 5:00 p.m. Eastern Time on January 30th, 2026. This distribution, investment, and maintenance plan shall be consistent with the September 8th, 2022 order and any subsequent order in case number U-20147 as directed by the Commission and applicable to UMERC. 5. Beginning in program year 2026, starting in October 2025, UMERC agrees to opt into the Low Income Energy Assistance Fund. And 6, the parties agreed that new rates will be effective January 1st, 2025. The settlement before you adopts a January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 test year, a rate base of approximately $6.6 million to non-Tilden customers, an authorized rate of return on common equity of 9.86%, and a common equity ratio of 50%. UMERC is authorized to implement rates that increase its annual retail electric revenues by approximately $6.6 million over the rates approved in the July 26, 2012 order in case number U-16830 for WEPCO service territory, and in the April 23, 2015 order in case number U-17669 for WPSC's territory. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Braunschweig. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21541.
I second the motion. And before we move to the vote, I just wanted to recognize the work of the many parties in bringing forward the settlement agreement before us today. As Ms. Braunschweig noted, this is the first rate increase that we've seen since UMERC was formed in 2016 as part of the resolution to a whole series of challenges involving the power system in the UP. And the settlement agreement before us, I believe, represents a reasonable resolution of a number of issues involved in the case, including supporting needed infrastructure investment while approving an increase that is 40% less than the company originally requested. I'd also like to highlight some of the elements that Ms. Braunschweig also covered, including the gradual unification of the service territories within UMERC, which I believe will help to fulfill the promise of a truly standalone UP-based and UP-focused electric utility over the course of that time. In addition, the residential and senior assistance support and participation in the Low-Income Energy Assistance Fund that provides support to the Michigan Energy Assistance Program, including grantees here in the Upper Peninsula that provide direct assistance to customers, including the Superior Watershed Partnership, as well as the filing of distribution investment and maintenance plan, looking at the reliability of the UMERC distribution system, I think are all significant steps in the right direction. So again, appreciate our staff's involvement, that of the company and the other intervening parties, including the Attorney General, and pleased to have this settlement agreement and the order adopting it in front of us today. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21541 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A6 is case number U-21547, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket to implement the provisions of Public Act 233 of 2023. Staff member Sarah Malkoff will describe this order.
Good morning, Chair Scripps and Commissioner Paratek. Public Act 233 of 2023, signed by Governor Whitmer on November 28, 2023, provides a limited grant of siting authority under specified conditions to the Commission for certain utility-scale solar, wind, and energy storage facilities effective November 29, 2024. Under specified conditions, Act 233 allows electric providers and independent power producers, or IPPs, to apply to the Commission to obtain a certificate for an eligible energy storage facility, solar facility, or wind facility. On February 8, 2024, the Commission issued an order opening this docket and directed the MPSC staff to file recommendations on application filing instructions and guidance related to compatible renewable energy ordinances, or CREOs, and any other issues involving Act 233 by June 21st, 2024. The Commission order also sought comments from interested persons regarding the staff's recommendations. Throughout this year, the MPSC staff conducted a robust engagement process with interested parties to develop draft guidance and application instructions. The staff solicited input on key questions and conducted research, site visits, consultations, and meetings with various constituencies. From March through September, the MPSC staff hosted 8 public educational meetings held virtually over Microsoft Teams. The sessions hosted a range of subject matter experts in areas of land use planning and zoning, renewable energy development, local governments perspectives, sound engineers, farmland preservation perspectives, and more. These presentations are posted to the MPSC Renewable Energy and Energy Storage Siting webpage. Staff also presented on the development of its straw proposals on certain key topics of the application filing requirements and procedures, and solicited written feedback throughout. Each public meeting also allowed for an open comment period. On June 21st, 2024, staff filed the draft application instructions and procedures into this docket. Over 100 comments were initially received and several reply comments were filed. Additionally, staff worked with a consultant, RSG, to generate sound report guidelines to provide the Commission with information necessary to determine whether an energy facility meets the noise limits outlined in Act 233. Interested parties also provided comments and suggestions to sound modeling guidance. The extensive feedback, perspectives, and inputs received throughout the comment period was invaluable to the development and refinement of the application filing instructions and procedures. The Commission considered the comments and today is adopting the application filing instructions and procedures with some revisions. These instructions have been developed to assist the applicant with the entire process associated with obtaining a certificate from the MPSC for an energy facility. These instructions aim to clarify the pre-application requirements, what fees must be paid and how, what application documents and exhibits are required, what information is necessary to complete the application, how the application is to be submitted, and how more information can be obtained. The order before you provides a summary of the comments organized by key topics and issues further guidance on the implementation of Act 233. I will now review some of the select findings. First, on definitions and scope. On compatible renewable energy ordinance. The order notes that nearly all commenters that commented on this issue noted that clarity and guidance were needed regarding scope and definition of CREO under Act 233. The Commission finds that a narrow definition for CREO is appropriate. The plain language and definition of CREO expressly limits CREO to requirements that are, quote, no more restrictive than the provisions included in Section 226 sub 8, end quote. This plain language demonstrates that a CREO may only contain those provisions expressly outlined in Section 226 sub 8 and may not contain more restrictive requirements than setback, fencing, height, sound, and other applicable requirements. 2, affected local unit, or ALU. The Commission was persuaded by the many commenters who took issue with the staff's draft's geographic reading and restricted the meaning of ALU to include only those local units of government that exercise zoning jurisdiction. The Commission finds that all of the circumstances that trigger the Commission's limited authority to site energy facilities require a local unit of government to exercise zoning jurisdiction. The Commission rejects staff's geographic interpretation of ALU and instead finds that ALU under Act 233 is limited to include only those local units of government that are exercising zoning jurisdiction. Next, other topics of interest. 3, CREO dispute resolution. Given the limited transfer of citing authority to the Commission, which describes unless there is a moratorium in place, applications must originate at the local level, the Commission finds there is no need for a dispute resolution process or expedited review of an ALU's ordinance. 4, workable ordinances. The Commission finds that Act 233 does not provide the Commission with authority to require electric providers or IPPs to site an energy facility through a local unit with a local ordinance that may not fully align with the requirements of a CREO. Rather, the Commission acknowledges that the local siting process remains available to project developers as it has been, but does not provide guidance pertaining to the siting processes outside of the Commission's jurisdiction. 5, projects across multiple jurisdictions. The Commission finds that when a project is located in multiple ALUs and one or more ALUs have CREOs and one or more do not have CREOs, or after attempts to site the project in an ALU have failed, the Commission will review the entire proposed project, including the portions of the project that are located in an ALU that has a CREO. 6, unzoned. The Commission rejects the staff draft recommendation that unzoned areas be treated the same as ALUs with CREOs. The Commission finds that because unzoned areas do not exercise zoning jurisdiction, an unzoned area is not an ALU under Act 233. As a result, unzoned areas are not subject to the same obligations and benefits as ALUs, including the obligation to notify an electric developer or IPP that it has a CREO. However, the Commission clarifies that because the Commission will review the entire project, portions in unzoned areas may come before the Commission when a project crosses multiple jurisdictions. 7, conditions. Section 226 sub 6 of Act 233 expressly authorizes the Commission to, quote, condition its grant of application on the applicant taking additional reasonable action related to the impacts of the proposed energy facility, end quote, and provides a non-exhaustive list of conditions that the Commission may include in its certificate. The Commission finds that the express terms of Act 233 support the conclusion that the Commission has authority to condition the grant of a certificate on conditions that relate to the construction or operation of an energy facility. 8, sound modeling. The Commission adopts the proposed use of a +5 decibel measure for tonal prominence as part of the sound modeling parameters, and also finds that the +6 dB or decibel facade pressure doubling to be well supported and consistent with the plain language of the Act, which sets a 55 average hourly decibel sound limit as modeled at the nearest outer wall of the nearest dwelling located on an adjacent non-participating property. 9, pre and post construction sound monitoring. The Commission finds that while it can be a useful tool to assess potential noise impacts of a proposed facility on the existing soundscape, pre-construction monitoring should not be a strict requirement. However, the Commission agrees with the staff draft and finds that post-construction sound monitoring is reasonable and should be required by applicants to assess compliance with sound limits required in Section 226 sub 8. And finally, there are a number of substantive and minor language changes throughout the document as a response to the feedback received. While the substance of the document remains largely the same, the staff draft was reorganized for improved flow from the perspective of an applicant filing before the Commission. The MPSC staff worked diligently to execute the initial directive from the Commission to develop such guidance informed by interested parties' input. The order before you and Attachment A, the revised application filing requirements and procedures, are now ready for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malkoff. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21547.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Chair. I would really like to thank our dedicated team of staff who diligently have set up this entirely new process for all of us at the MPSC to issue siting certificates for renewable energy and energy storage projects. This was no small task, and a very large team of staff worked on this, but I'd especially like to thank Sarah Malkoff, Travis Warner, Kathy Cole, Julie Baldwin, Charlie Kavanaugh, Eddie Garcia, Rika Holly-Velker, Naomi Simpson, and Mike Byrne for their particular work on this. I'd also like to thank all of the commenters who submitted very thoughtful comments, suggestions, and guidance for this process and participated in the 8 different public meetings that our staff held to gather input. It truly was a team effort, and all of the input from commenters was invaluable for developing a robust, clear, and fair siting process. Not all renewable energy and energy storage siting permits must go through this new voluntary process at the Commission. And in fact, we expect most siting permits to still be granted through local siting processes. This pathway is only available to very large projects. As Ms. Malkoff noted, over 100 megawatts for wind and over 50 megawatts for solar and storage, and only with full landowner support. And it's only a backstop siting process if the local unit of government does not have a siting ordinance that is compatible with PA 233 passed at the end of last year, and siting through the local process fails, regardless of if their ordinances are compatible. This siting process is designed to provide a strong voice to local units of government and provides funding for legal costs of participating in a siting proceeding. A lot of thought, effort, and work has gone into this process, and I'm excited that we're in the position here today in Escanaba to be able to approve this order and the attached filing instructions.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick. I also want to offer a few words before we vote on the order before us. First, I'd like to echo your acknowledgement of the work of our staff. You used the word diligent. That's exactly the word that I had written down myself. And really the amount of hours, the amount of work, and the quality of that work in the recommendations that were brought forward, I think speaks to the dedication and commitment of our staff. I believe the process that they used, the 8 public workshops that Ms. Malkoff detailed, in my mind, represent a model of public engagement, one that engendered trust from participants in the work groups and ultimately provided us with a comprehensive set of recommendations. I also appreciate the many participants, including the more than 100 groups and individuals who provided specific comments to shape our thinking. The application instructions and procedures in front of us today, I believe, are faithful to the limited grant of authority to cite certain wind, solar, and energy storage systems provided to the Commission by the legislature under Act 233. As you noted, Commissioner Peretick, in most cases, project development process will still originate at the local level. The only exceptions are where there is a moratorium on project development in place or where the local unit of government itself requests the developer ultimately to use the Commission's siting process. Otherwise, it starts at the local level and can only move to the Commission if the local unit of government denies, fails to either approve or deny a project application within the timelines outlined in statute, or if the local unit of government adds additional restrictions beyond those detailed in statute while the application is pending. And then only if the project meets the minimum size requirements that you outlined. The order today and the accompanying application instructions and procedures provides guidance for those applications that may ultimately be filed with the Commission. But again, not all applications will come to the Commission. And for those applications that continue to go through the local siting process, the Commission has no jurisdiction and therefore provides no guidance. Again, I'd like to express my thanks to all parties and particularly to Ms. Malkoff and staff for their diligent work. The order today in front of us, I believe, is well grounded in statute and faithful, again, to the limited grant of authority provided by the Commission, provided to the Commission by the legislature under Act 233. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21547 is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A7 are case numbers U-21569 et al., which involve, on the Commission's own motion, the opening of dockets for the purpose of receiving comments on issues related to Public Act 235 of 2023 and providing guidance to affected utilities. The order before you denies the petition for a rehearing filed by the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order in case numbers U-21569 et al.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case numbers U-21569 et al. Is approved. I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A8 is case number U-21768, which concerns the commencement of a rulemaking proceeding to amend the Uniform System of Accounts for major and non-major electric utilities, Michigan Admin Code R460.9002 and R460.9003. The order before you approves the rules and acknowledges the transmission of the rules to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21768.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21768 is approved. And I recognize Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A9 is case number U-21799, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company requesting ex parte approval of a one-time accounting authority. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21799.
I second the motion. And just very briefly before we vote on this, just to unpack what Mr. Kavanaugh said in terms of what this order does, it is around accounting authority, but importantly, accounting authority to pull forward tree trimming and vegetation management activity that would otherwise pause and be rolled over into 2025. The increased focus on tree trimming and vegetation management has been one that we've been working with DTE on since 2019, the rate case that was approved in May of that year that started their surge in tree trimming and notably was one of the core recommendations of the recent comprehensive audit, third-party independent comprehensive audit into the distribution systems of both DTE Electric Company and Consumers Energy Company. This allows DTE to continue the momentum around tree trimming and vegetation management in an effort to improve reliability performance as opposed to pausing it and then restarting it next year, which we felt was not in the interest of customers. So appreciate DTE bringing this application in front of us. I'm supportive of the order in front of us. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21799 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments first from individuals attending in person here in Escanaba, and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you are willing to share so that we have that for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. I know we have at least 2 or 3 individuals on the virtual options who are queued up for comment. But first, do we have anyone attending in person who desires to address the commission? I know most of you, so. Okay, we will now turn to public comments by the remote option, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone. Again, for individuals participating remotely by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the raise hand button to be queued up for comment. When it is your turn to speak, please click on the mic button to unmute. Individuals participating through Microsoft Teams also have the option to turn on their camera. For individuals participating remotely by phone and who want to make a verbal comment, you may press *5 to be queued up for comment. And when it is your turn to speak, press *6 to unmute. We'll start with Ibad Sayed as the first virtual public commenter.
Hello. Hi. Good Good morning to all. If Sure, getting my put together. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So again, good morning. The reason, so my name is Ibad Sayed. I live in Novi, and my public comment here is in regards to an issue that I've had with DTE, and specifically in regards to getting a secondary meter installed for my electric vehicle. And DTE has published guidance under a SIM manual from which they are deviating on the field, and they are not allowing it's basically hey, it's our way or the highway kind of attitude on there. Um, and I have sent, in the interest of time here, I'll keep this brief, but I have sent the details of this over to the commissioners. I have also tried to address this issue with the MPSC staff. However, unfortunately, all the MPSC staff has done is simply forward over my comments to DTE and then forward back their comments to us or to myself. And this is not really in the interest. A gentleman earlier in this call mentioned the interest of the customers. That's the quote that I got from there. This is not in the interest of the customers when a utility company with a territorial monopoly is allowed to do whatever they see fit without any appropriate oversight and regulatory guidance from your commission. When a company like DTE, you know, earlier also was mentioned, the Whitmer administration. If the purpose of this commission is to serve the residents of Michigan in alignment with what the governor's administration has put forward, then I think that holding DTE accountable for following their own guidance on their SIM manuals is well within what I would expect this commission to do. Again, you've allowed a company to have territorial monopoly, and to have that without any kind of appropriate oversight is I don't even know the right term to use to describe that. But basically, DTE field reps should not be allowed to make policy up on the field, which contradicts their own SIM manual. And when this does, so there's two parts to this complaint. One is that. The second part is if DTE does that, DTE is a for-profit corporation. They are going to obviously look for their shareholder best interest in any way that they can. That's why we have your body there. And so I tried to file this as a formal complaint. The director I reached out to refused to do that and instead tried to handle it, what she quoted as informally, which simply was me forwarding over my comments to them and then forwarding over their comments back to me without any evaluation of whether their comments even made sense and why they were deviating from their own instructions on there. I want to be respectful to the other people on this call, so I don't need to go into too much detail. But I have specifically quoted areas from the SIM manual and also the details that I'm referring to. They call it a detail, which is a setup that they allow. Basically, just in a nutshell, what I was told is, hey, DTE hasn't put on 100 amp meters on a 320 for a very long time, even though their SIM manual published October 2022, which is the most recent, shows that as the third setup that's allowed. And instead, DTE forced me to go with the fourth setup, which was allowed, which required its traditional significant additional expense and time from me. So, I expect your commission to investigate that diligently, and if necessary, penalize or set forward to DTE that their territorial monopoly comes with a condition. Again, this is a company which is allowed monopoly within the United States, but it should come with a condition that when there is ambiguity from their own side where they're not able to perform something because of something that they've made a mistake on, then they should be the ones that are responsible for making it right for the customer.
Thank you, Mr. Sayed. I appreciate you raising that with us. I will dig into the details of what you've shared with our customer assistance staff and look forward to responding to you.
Okay, may I ask you one quick thing before I get off? As long as this issue is not resolved, would it be, I do intend to attend every commission meeting and bring this up again. Until this issue is resolved.
You're certainly welcome to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second individual that we have participating through the virtual options is Charity. I don't believe that I've got a last name. Charity, if you can unmute your line, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, it looks like it's working.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so my name is Charity and I'm a Detroit resident representing We the People, Michigan. I've been to the last few MPSC hearings. I was at the Detroit hearing. I was at the last Lansing hearing that you guys had to raise concerns about DTE's request for another rate hike. And again, ask you, the MPSC, the people with the power, to completely reject it because Detroiters cannot afford it and should not be expected to carry the weight of a company that's been reported in an audit solicited by your team to have transformers that date all the way back to 1924. This is an affordability issue, a health issue, and an equality issue. Detroiters have been held responsible for these rate hikes for too long, and we cannot afford to bear this weight anymore, especially when DTE service is consistently the worst in the nation, leaving our elders in danger, streetlights out of work, and families with spoiled food and no energy for days at a time with little to no compensation. When we were canvassing the neighborhood around Mumford for the hearing to let residents know what was going on and that they'd be able to talk to the deciders if their rates are going to be hiked again or not, we actually talked to one older woman who said that she was without power for 4 days and her only compensation was $30 for all the spoiled food. Mind you, though, there's also people with health concerns who have like health machines and devices in these fridges that they're not being able to be used and they're not getting compensated for that. So like I said, this issue encompasses, it's not just about money. It's not just affordability, which you guys factored in this year. Like, this is a really intersectional issue that's really impacting people's lives in a very deep way. And you all have the power to do something about it. So I really encourage you to do that. And I'm, again, urging the commission to make the right choice and reject the rate hike completely. Thank you.
Thank you, Charity. I don't see any additional hands raised through the virtual options. Give it maybe 1 or 2 minutes, seconds. Okay. At this point, we will close the public comment period. Please note that the public may continue to submit comments at any time to the commissioners via email at lara-mpsc-commissioners2@michigan.gov. And again, that email address is also in today's meeting notice. Before we wrap up, just a couple of quick comments. The first is I want to sort of share my thoughts, certainly, and those of the commission, with those struggling in the wake of the recent hurricanes, Hurricane Helene that came up the Atlantic coast, and of course Hurricane Milton that crossed over Florida overnight last night. There are millions of people literally without power this morning, and many others who are facing even more challenging circumstances than that. And so we are thinking of the first responders, certainly the crews out in the field working overnight to restore power, and those who are struggling, and know that the thoughts of the people of Michigan and the Michigan Public Service Commission are with you. Any additional announcements today?
I would just like to thank all for coming out to our meeting today here in Escanaba. It's really important for us to be present in and hear from Michiganders across both of our peninsulas. So I'm thankful to be able to be here with all of you today.
Excellent. Well, all good things must come to an an end, and our next regular commission meeting will be back in Lansing on Thursday, November 7th at 2024 at our regular meeting time of 1:00 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Peretick?
I move to adjourn today's commission meeting.
I second the motion. We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.